If you crush a cockroach, you're a hero. If you crush a beautiful butterfly, you're a villain. Morals have aesthetic criteria. The SR manuscript. 2 years of writing and research on the topic of semen retention. If you wish to physically own a copy of the ancient archives, then this book is for you. Your face matters in society. People who are perceived of as more attractive are seen as inherently more valuable than less attractive people by a large portion of the world. If attractiveness were a house, then facial attractiveness is the door to that house, and without a good-looking face, many people will simply choose not to open the door. The world values physical attractiveness, because physical attractiveness implies good genetic stock and good health signifies survival. It implies life over death, and is necessary for the successful continuation of the species. Those that weren't blessed with top-tier genetics may feel disheartened with this information, though I would encourage you to see it as knowledge that can empower you. If you are upset, you are simply taking this too seriously. The world is a stage. The Creator has given you a role to play, and now you must play it. Every weakness carries within itself an equal strength. It is true that your life may be more challenging due to your looks, and you will find you have to work harder for opportunities that are more frequently offered to your more attractive counterparts. Try to understand, though, that you have acquired a blessing in disguise. Much like any other game, playing life on hard mode makes you a better player. Having less opportunity forces you to try harder, and as a result pushes your skills and insights far further than your competitors playing life on easy mode can reach. This negative reinforcement can quickly bring you into the upper echelons of your field. Those handsome souls that everybody adores get to breeze through life in comfort without much negative criticism. Though without this criticism, they will find it harder to sharpen their mind, skills, and develop a burning desire for success. We see this often with the children of celebrities failing to reach the mark of success that their parents did, perhaps due to a pampered life. Do not yearn for a pampered life. That is not why you are here. You are here for something more important: to do big things. Strong ambition does not arise from comfort and praise. You can't learn about your weak points and work to strengthen them when surrounded by yes men. Everybody wants to please the handsome man, and so the handsome man will often be shielded from the ugly side of human nature, and for that reason they may find it harder to get down to the deepest truths of nature and life. Perhaps this is why we attached the meaning of both beauty and stupidity to the stereotype blonde or dumb blonde, as the beautiful often become this way through a pampered life. This is not to say all handsome people are stupid, just as all ugly people are not intelligent. But there is perhaps a negative and positive to both sides you should recognize. Being born either handsome or unattractive, both carry their burdens and merits, and thus you should not long after one more than the other. They may push you into different areas in life, but the road to success and good living is achievable in either position. Attractiveness is an easy road, but it can make life hard. Unattractiveness is the hard road that can make life easy. The so-called unattractive man gets the truth of human nature shown to him almost every day. It's usually a painful lesson, but a very valuable one. Regardless of your position, this is the game to be played, and crying about your character is the weakest move on the board. Contrary to popular opinion, however, much of our attractiveness can be shaped over time. That is because the more time that passes over our body, the more our actions, habits, and environment shape the current physical state that we reside in. There are limits, however, due to the genetics we have to work with. But within everyone's genetic allotment, there is much room to shift the bar of attractiveness up or down the scale. There are plenty of people who were considered not so attractive in their youthful years, yet became significantly more attractive by middle age, and vice versa. We all know the story of the ugly duckling. The rate at which we age is largely within our control. How does semen retention improve one's face? Often there are reports by retainers of looking more attractive and youthful when on semen retention. Some will argue that it is a placebo effect that results from enhanced confidence, though there is much evidence to support the claim of a physical improvement related to semen retention. First, let us look at some aspects of what is deemed as unattractive. Aging. As we age, signs of deterioration make themselves visible in the face. Facial adiposity, or the perception of weight in the face, is said to be an accurate indicator of one's level of health and attractiveness. Various studies have established a relationship between facial adiposity and perceived attractiveness and health. Fat loss in the face is often associated with aging, whereas abundant levels of adipose tissue, also known as baby fat, tend to signal youth and vitality. Signs of youthfulness indicate health, and signs of health are perceived as attractive. For someone that is not suffering from obesity, the general tendency of the face as it ages is to lose volume and facial fat in the deep fat compartments of the face. These are the areas that exude youth. The face also loses muscle and bone density, as does the rest of the body. The cheeks become more hollow. Facial contours change shape. Darkened circles appear under the eyes. Shadows become more pronounced, and an overall loss of volume becomes visually apparent. Even if the face gains weight from an overall body fat increase, the areas in which the adipose tissues signify youthfulness tend to dissipate. In some extreme cases of this fat loss, the face starts to show signs of emaciation. In the past, it was said that chaste living could prevent this onset of facial aging. The renowned Swiss doctor Tissault connected excess sexual activity and semen loss to emaciation. He furthermore writes how the excess loss of seminal fluid blocks nutrition, weakens the body, and affects development. The common thread between sexual activity and facial adiposity is cholesterol. The sex hormones are derived from cholesterol. Cholesterol plays various important roles in the body, such as the production of cell membranes, hormones, and vitamin D. It also plays a major role in brain health and neurotransmitter communication, the brain being the most cholesterol-rich organ of the body. Studies have suggested that mid to higher levels of cholesterol in advanced age are associated with higher cognitive performance. The study even suggests that lower levels of cholesterol may in fact be linked to cognitive decline. The ongoing production of sex hormones from one that is in a constantly stimulated sexual state would require a continuous supply of this cholesterol from the body and brain. A constant drain in this regard could well be burdensome to our physiological functioning. As adipose tissue is the main storage area of cholesterol, perhaps we can see how Tissault's assertion that sexual excess drains fat stores and leads to emaciation is based on the principle that excess sexual activity requires an abundant supply of cholesterol. Could it be this constant utilization of cholesterol in sexually excessive individuals that brings about these facial changes and early signs of aging? There is no concrete evidence here, though the connection does appear reasonable, at least from my own point of view. Furthermore, we know that reproduction shortens lifespan in animals and plants, and that castrated animals and plants generally live longer. If we assume that organisms that live longer age slower, then the retention of our semen and avoidance of reproductive activities such as sex and ejaculation should slow down our biological process of aging and thus preserve our youthful appearance for longer. In short, semen retention appears to slow natural deterioration and thus preserve one's youth and beauty for longer. This could well be the reason people on semen retention often experienced enhanced physical attractiveness and facial aesthetics. We see a similar process of degeneration taking place in the hair. The connection between hair and sex hormones is very well established. Over 2,000 years ago, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle made the claim that baldness was a result of lack of vital heat caused by sexual intercourse. Those that don't produce semen, women and castrated men, do not develop AGA or male pattern baldness. Conversely, in dogs, castration is sometimes used to treat hair loss. Of course, castration is dangerous for humans for many other reasons and is not recommended. We must consider that if halting production of these sex hormones is beneficial for the hair, then overproduction of such hormones must be detrimental to the hair. Balding is a sign of aging and degeneration of the organism. If reproduction and reproductive activity accelerate aging, then it is logical to presume that this too may accelerate hair loss. Semen retention prevents the overuse of the testes in the production of sex hormones, and thus could be beneficial for preventing hair loss and maintaining one's attractiveness. This is again not verified scientifically by any particular study. We are merely following a course of logical outcomes. The eyes are often said to be the most attractive feature of the person. They have been referred to as the exclamation points of the face and the windows of the soul. Aristotle wrote that the eyes are very much connected with the semen. He noted that those who over-frequently indulged in sexual intercourse had the appearance of sunken eyes. The eyes are directly linked to the brain through the optic nerve, and thus much of the brain's condition is transmitted to the eyes. We know that the brain and the testes are very similar in protein and constituents, and it has been long thought that excess in testicular activity may come at a cost to brain activity. On the topic of Casper's research, R. Bernard wrote, "The fluids elaborated by the testes, the prostate gland, and the accessory sex glands are very rich in phosphorus, as are the spermatozoa themselves. The loss of semen must therefore lower the phosphorus content of the blood, for it is from here that these glands derive the phosphorus for the manufacture of their secretions. This must deprive the nervous system of an element so necessary for its nutrition and normal well-being. This explains the neurasthenic effects of masturbation and sexual excess, which are due to loss of phosphorus through seminal emissions. If we are to recognize the preservation of semen as being of value to the brain, then by extension, we should perhaps see this benefit reflected in the eyes. Or to put simply, semen preservation may enhance the eye's appearance and thus improve facial attractiveness. Again, this is not verified and at this point remains just a theory. The elixir of youth. Over a century before, the Austrian physiologist Professor Steinach made major discoveries on the relationship between testosterone and estrogen, and much of his work went to shape modern-day hormonal medicine. Steinach conducted many experiments on man and animals to test hormone therapies and treatments. Among his experiments, he set out to restore youth to the organism, and did this through the manipulation of testicular secretions. Through his experiments, Steinach concluded that the process of aging was reversible through the restriction of testicular secretions. In rats, Steinach was able to restore their endocrine glands to a youthful state, induce new growth of hair, and regenerate body tissues, particularly of the heart and brain. We know through the process of puberty that the introduction of sex hormones brings about maturation of the organism, and furthermore we have seen that prevention of this sex hormone through neutering of animals increases life expectancy, and thus perhaps slows the process of aging in the organism. Since the semen contains sex hormones by conserving it rather than wasting it through sexual indulgence, These valuable hormones are saved and resorbed into the circulation, where they act as general physiological catalysts and endocrine activators, exercising a revitalizing effect on all cells, body and brain. If the preservation of these fluids slows the process of aging, then it also slows the process of organism degeneration and thus enhances our attractiveness, or at the very least prevents it from degenerating into unattractiveness. This would presumably have a significant impact on not only our facial attractiveness, but our overall physical state of health. In this sense, we can understand how the preservation of our sexual hormones may in fact keep us more good-looking for longer, and thus we gain access to the elixir of youth.